name is Neil Unruh, and welcome to the Bradenton Kiwanis Club. Thank you for being here. A special welcome to all our guests. We'll introduce you a little later. It's great to have you. Please join me in reciting the pledge. We'll sing My Country 'Tis of Thee, and then Andy Miner will give us our prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring.
Will you pray with me, please? Dear Lord Jesus, I just want to thank you for this time to get together as Kiwanians in the great county of Manatee County. Thank you for the wonderful weather we've been having, and thank you for the beginning of the plateauing of the COVID virus. Keep us all mindful of the blessings you provide to us, Lord, and always the mission of Kiwanis is to look out for the children of Manatee County. In your precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
At this time, we will have Mac Aldridge come up and introduce our guests.
All right, and it is a bright and gracious good day in Bradenton and Bradenton Kiwanis. We want to thank you all for coming out. Yeah, give it a hoo-hoo. There you go, that's better. Anyway, we do appreciate everybody coming out today and enjoying us, and we do have a few guests, so I would appreciate it if when I call your name, if you would just sort of stand up, give the Queen's wave a little bit so they recognize that you're here. That would be great. We're going to start with Mr. James Fraley. And Bob Kahn. Where's Bob? There's Bob. And we also have a good friend of mine and a Manatee High graduate 1970, Dean Kushmer. Please stand up. And I think that's it. Do I miss anybody? No. Thank you all so much. And again, welcome to Bradenton Kiwanis.
All right, at this time we want to turn to the President's Contest. Christy's graciously been giving away $3,000 a month. We're coming to the end of that. We have August's winner today, and then we will have September drawing being done on September 21, a week early, so that we can pay out by the year end for whoever is that appropriate winner. So at this time, Karen Carpenter is going to clue us in on who she has selected, and then we will present the big check.
Is the check negotiable? That's what we want to know. Well, it was a great surprise because I couldn't be here last week, but Rick Piccolo pulled my name, and all of you must remember Francine Houston, who was here, and I selected PAL, the Police Athletic League, and it was approved by the president, and so they will get a $3,000 check, which is nice. Anyway, thank you very much to Christy.
All right, a few announcements. Again, thank you to Easter Seals. They have brought the kids back, as was the tradition in the past, and they helped set up the room, so let's all give them a round of applause. September community service events. We have Kids Against Hunger on Saturday, September 18th. We're doing it from 8 to 10 over at the Manatee Sunrise Warehouse. We had 24 slots. We have 3 left, 3 available. So thank you all for signing up. We'll have lots of key clubbers there as well. On September 19th, Sunday, from 9 to noon, Hope Thrift Store needs some help moving some racks and other things back so that they can get their floor painted. We'd appreciate any help there. And the Satellite Club will again be out at the Fish Preserve on Saturday, September 11th in the morning. So if you can go out and help them, it'll be greatly appreciated. The food, that warehouse that they have is right behind Hungry Howie's in Palmetto. All right, board meeting next Wednesday, September 15th, here at the hall. We will have boxed lunches. We will be providing agenda items from Terry and Christy before the event happens next week. And so at this time, we'll have a page from Kiwanis history with Judge.
Hello, everybody. This week we're talking about 1965. Okay, who remembers the locomotion? Not many people probably, but quite a few of you out there do. And people were dancing to the song. So the locomotion. The Desoto Celebration had gotten bigger and bigger, and this is an ad that was in the Tampa Tribune. This was being a week-long celebration with a parade, with the coronation, with a landing. So it's a big event. This was actually a big surprise that I found. Now, Braden and Kiwanis decided in 1965 that they were going to help a handicapped man who was out of work. And so they helped him establish a bait shop right out here on Braden River and Manatee Avenue. And it was just somebody that they did help to set up a bait shop. So for all you fishermen, that was something good. Now this is Key Royale was just getting started and developing out there and selling, and you could buy a home for $18,500 on a canal, or you could put down $1,900 and obtain financing. This is a photo of Fred Kushmer Jr. It also has a couple of other pictures. To the left is his father, Fred Kushmer Sr., who was a member of this club also, and then Fred Kushmer Sr.'s wife is on the other side. Now, he was our 1965 president, and let me tell you a little bit about him. Fred was very active in the club. He was active in school in the Key Club. He was born in 1923 in Tampa and then moved down here with his family in 1925. They came down to manage a branch store of the Office Equipment Company out of Tampa in Bradentown at the time, but then, of course, the first store was on Main Street next to the Juplenor Hotel. And when the parent company closed during the Depression, Fred's family bought the inventory and established his own company, Bradenton Office Equipment. And I know that's familiar to a lot of you. The store was in the arcade, there it is, and on Manatee Avenue and 9th. And does anybody remember the year it was demolished? Does anybody remember? Dean, you should remember that. You don't remember? Okay, that was 1960. And what they built there? They built Manatee National Bank, the new Manatee National Bank. So Fred Kushmer joined the club fairly early, or Fred Sr. did, when they moved down here, and he got pretty involved. This thing's jumping, but... So, this is the Golden Wave. Now, how many of you knew what the Golden Wave is? A lot of people don't know this, but it's something that everybody needs to know, especially those of you that graduated Manatee High School. Fred Jr. attended Bradenton High School, and that's in between the time that it was changing names, and he developed into a great athlete playing 3 sports. He was quite the football player, and the name of the team was the Golden Wave. A lot of people don't know that, but that was prior to the Hurricanes. And he demonstrated his skill time and time again by dominating the games. And that's when the team won, 1941, the Southeastern Conference Championship for high school. He went to, after high school, he went to the Citadel until he enlisted in the Army in 1942. And this is him in the Army. Officers Candidate School. He was commissioned as a second lieutenant and then went to the Coastal Artillery of the Anti-Aircraft Division. He wound up staying in the States and training troops that were leaving to go overseas. And after he got a discharge, he went to University of Florida, and of all things, he played football for the Gators. And upon graduation, he came back and joined the family business and Braden office equipment. This is an article where there's really some really good Manatee County history here, this is an article about him coming back and working with his dad. Now, his dad was a member of the club too. Senior was not too long after he got here in 1925, and he was also a veteran, so he'll be in our veterans program, as well as Fred Jr., who's going to be in our veterans program. Fred Jr. joined the club after he got back from the service, and like his father, Dean, who's here as my guest today, Dean Kushmer, he joined the club, and he was a club member probably over 25 years, probably 20, 25 years for a long time. So Fred was very involved. Fred Jr. was very involved in the community, and he was a conquistador. He worked with the American Legion, Girl Scout, Boy Scout program, and unexpectedly, however, his life was cut short, and he died at age 56 in 1980. So the year of 1965, we had a ladies' night, and the active members in ladies' night were 155 members. Now, that means we're doing pretty good with the membership we have, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that 155 members in just a minute. This is an article that just shows that what the club did. They spent $30,000 on the park at that time, building a new shuffleboard court, bleachers, and a horseshoe pit. And this is a picture of Fred Kushmer with Ed Price and with Mayor Sterling Hall, and they're giving him a blank check. And the check is for undetermined amount of community service hours that they were going to donate and commit to the community. Ed Price and Sterling Hall gave a speech at that meeting, which was on January 19th, about the community pride and spirit in Manatee County needs to be stronger. Now, this is a timely article, and this is an article about the club a meeting where Senator Ed Price challenged all the members here to donate money to the South Florida Museum. And Senator Price, who you've heard a lot about and you're going to hear a lot more about, he was quoted as saying that the club has the most potent manpower and brain power in the county. Don't we think that's true still? Oh, yeah. So it's timely that we have this for Hillary here today. And then this is a photo of also on July 27th they had a meeting, and they called that meeting the Ed Price Day, and that was for his outstanding service that he's had. Now, by the end of 1965, they had a pretty good year, inducting 13 new members, including some people by the name of John Blue, John Crowder, and Peter Matina. Now, it's exciting to have our speaker today, and I'll just tell you a little bit about her. Hillary Spencer is the Chief Executive Officer of the Bishop. She's perfect for the job. She's been a professor. She's operated and directed museums before. She graduated from Agnes Scott College and American University, received her master's from the City University of New York, and then her doctorate from Xavier University of Louisiana. So if you would join me in welcoming Hillary to our club today. Hillary?
All right. Hi, everybody. It is so fantastic to see you all. I am new here, as you might have heard, and so it's great to be welcomed into this room and into this lunch and into this community as a whole. So as was mentioned, I am the new CEO of the Bishop, and this is coming home for me. I grew up on the Gulf Coast of Florida. I grew up in Pensacola, and so coming back to Florida has been a true gift for me and my family. In fact, I just came back from seeing my folks this weekend, and I think it was a sign that this really is home. So I'm thrilled to be here. So a little bit about myself, in addition to the glowing words that were shared just a moment before. Some of my proudest moments, I am the mom of two. So I have an 8-year-old daughter, well, 2 weeks away, but you know how it goes. So I have an 8-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son, and you will find us when we're not at the museum. You'll find us at the beach and at the ball fields, and we are looking for play dates. I've had this invitation ever since I started. If you've got kids, you've got grandkids, let me know. We are looking for community. But I've spent over 20 years working in museums, building exhibits, developing earned revenue strategies. I really come to this from a different perspective. I come to this as a business person, so with an entrepreneurial spirit within the nonprofit space. So I use this as an opportunity to really advance our mission with revenue strategies. So, one of the things about the last 18 months is that we're all different. We've changed as an economy, we've changed as a community, and the Bishop has changed as an organization. And I've asked my staff really to think about what comes next. How can we best serve our community, and how can we continue to be a resource for science and education? So I want to say thank you to all of you as we participate in this journey, as we go on this journey together. But I specifically want to say thanks to my board. They're amazing. In this room, we've got Andy. Thank you so much for inviting me today and letting me be your guest. And but also just for the welcome. Also, I have the joy of Raj Mather and Marty King being my co-pilots in leadership with the board. They're really providing an excellent model of mentorship and guidance. And if you guys have the opportunity to spend time with them, I do suggest it. So how many have you been to the Bishop recently? How many of you grew up going to the South Florida Museum? Same number. See, it's a place that is near and dear to our hearts. My very first museum was also a local museum that talked about history, it talked about the environment, and then thinking about what comes next. So I think that this is an exciting spot to be at as we think about how the Bishop Museum of Nature and Science continues. But I'm going to give you a couple of facts because I think it's always great to know. We all think we know your neighbor, but did you know? So I'm going to tell you that we are the largest natural history museum on Florida's Gulf Coast. And when you come to the Bishop, you can have a number of different experiences. That's right. Our newly renovated planetarium will transport you through the solar system. We have a 50-foot dome with a newly updated digital system. It is beautiful and it's amazing. We also have the best host of the planetarium with Howard, so please come and spend time with us there. We also have our newly renovated Parker Manatee Rehabilitation Habitat, where guests can see wild manatees that were rescued after they become sick or injured. And then it's been renovated, so we have above both the underwater viewing as well as the viewing above. But we have the top of its class staff telling us about animal care and our role within the environment. We also recently opened the Mosaic Backyard Universe. It's an indoor experience created especially for young children and their families. It's about discovering and doing. We designed it for families so we can think about questions about nature and explore with hands-on activities, but then you can go home and do these activities as well. We also have a continually updating list of fun experiences, of temporary exhibits, of events in the evening. My son recently went to iQuest, which is specifically for middle schoolers. My daughter did summer camp. But you can also come and learn how to use your telescope. I had a friend in town last weekend, and we came and checked out Battle of the Boneless. That's right, killer snails. You can come find out about killer snails and find out which snail you are most like with our quiz, our interactive quiz. So we're always developing new content, but we want to play with you. So come and tell us what you like and come and see what we're doing. But I also want to tell you how we measure what we're doing. So there are some metrics that we track that enable us to evaluate the museum's impact on the community. 3 of those impact metrics are museum attendance, the number of Manatee County students that benefit from our educational programs, and the number of manatees we rehabilitate in the Manatee Rehabilitation Habitat. In 2019, our attendance increased more than 14% over 2018. This was a dramatic increase in our attendance for only 1 year, and we believe this is a major contributing factor was the brand change. I think that really brought a lot of attention to us. But you know what? Here in 2021, we are matching our 19 numbers, or very, very closely, and that's a huge accomplishment, especially in a recovery year. So this is a demonstration of we're being nimble, we're being flexible, and we're really still trying to serve our community. The Bishop is proud to be part of the economic engine of Manatee County, attracting visitors who help support local jobs, generate government revenue, and build the area's all-important tourism revenue. Visitors rely on the Bishop to provide high-quality education programs, and we reach beyond our walls to ensure as many people as possible have these opportunities, especially children and families who are underserved. In 2019, we reached more than 7,500 people through community events and our partners, primarily children who attend Title I schools. This year, we're collaborating with many of our community partners to resume as many outreach events as safety permits. The other night, we did Soar and For at the museum. We had 60 families attending and engaging with resources that the community brought together in preparation for kindergarten. It was fantastic. We've already impacted more than 3,000 people through our outreach events. But now, I want to talk about manatees. I think that a lot of us, when we think of the museum, we think about the manatees. And I had no idea they were so freaking cute. I know I grew up on the Gulf Coast too, but there aren't a lot of manatees in Pensacola. And now that I've been spending time with Iceland and Janice, our current friends at the museum, I've just been completely charmed. It's fantastic. This is the second, we are what is called a second stage rehabilitation facility. And so, as I mentioned before, we provide housing for injured or orphaned wild manatees while they recover, while they gain weight, while they learn some social skills, but also as we identify a safe place for them to be reintroduced into the wild. So, Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission is the organization that rescues wild manatees in distress, and we work in conjunction with them. As they're rescued, these manatees go to one of 4 different locations. So we're really in a unique position of this type of service. Only one of 4. And I had no idea. It just didn't dawn on me. I think we hear in the news, like, oh, well, SeaWorld just got this. And we hear about the animal hospitals. But this second phase of rehabilitation is really important, especially as this manatee crisis is emerging here in our community. So after manatees are stabilized in the hospital, they come here. And then we work with the Manatee Rescue and Rehabilitation Partnership to provide this care, but also help with the reintroduction to the wild. So the MRP, as it is called, is a consortium of organizations that works together to protect wild manatees. So the Manatee Rehabilitation Program at the Bishop is important to our mission, but it's also important to us as a state and our identity. So it's important to note that there is no state or federal funding available for this particular work, and so we do rely on the generosity of our community in building this program. But right now, some of you know that we're experiencing a crisis for wild manatees. It's called an unusual mortality event, or a UME. Since January, 10% of the manatee population has died. That's incredible. And I don't know how many of you see it on the local news or you see it, but they're heartbreaking. And it is because of they're starving to death. In addition to entanglements, in addition to red tide, but we're in a crisis right now, and there is not a clear end in sight of when this will happen. Because there will be the impact on the environment is going to be long-term. So some of the challenges that the both federal and state Fish and Wildlife is coming to the MRP to address are, there's simply not enough staff. There's not enough experienced staff for the rescues as well as the rehabilitation. Also, there's a huge number of animals in need. I had heard that the seagrass was dying off on the East Coast, but it's also happening on the West Coast now. We also need transportation. There's such a large number of animals, but how do you get them to these, either the hospitals or to the rehabilitation sites? It's really actually a huge issue. I witnessed, Iceland and Janice are at the museum right now in our habitat, and yeah, they came in the back of a U-Haul thinking about how to support these animals. There's also a complexity of the crisis right now because animals are dying in multiple locations. It's not just an isolated event. They're happening all over the state. So the Bishop was approached by Fish and Wildlife to think about what we can do. They approached all of the MRP partners, but also they came to us and they're like, you have the best in care. Virginia Edmonds is our director of animal care, and then we have Dr. Murphy as our veterinarian. And we're really being seen as thought leaders in this crisis. So the bishop is, yes. So there is some allocations that are happening at the state and federal level. And I mentioned before that we don't typically get that. So that is the level of crisis that we're at. There are special allocations within budgets, federal and state. Should they become available, the bishop is working on activating our resources, of thinking creatively, thinking of outside of our box. We have identified an off-site location where we could develop a rescue center, where we could support a larger number of animals, and that we'd be working in consortium with the MRP for the staffing of that. This is remarkable because the activation of the community, the activation of our governments, but also the need. The bishop is being seen, again, as I said, a thought leader in this, but also there's the day-to-day care of the manatees. So this month we are launching our Bishop Foster Friend program, our BFF program, where you can foster a manatee. I know, it's super cute, right? And this is a monthly giving program. And this is, we want folks to be able to support this cause, but also, did you know it costs $2,000 a month to feed a manatee? They eat 10% of their weight a day in lettuce and greens. That's a lot of romaine, y'all. That is a lot. We currently have 2 manatees within our rehabilitation space habitat. We are looking to adding a 3rd. Our space has the capacity to hold manatees, more manatees than we do. I mean, we want more space, but frankly, we're in a crisis now. So we're really looking for our community to participate as we help to serve as many manatees as we can. We're estimating that the crisis will last at least the next 2 years. So has anyone been able recently to see Iceland and Janice? Fantastic. So they came in and they were underweight. They are juveniles. And they were typically at an age where they would still be with their mothers. And so thinking about, oh my God, I'm a mom. This breaks my heart. So that Iceland and Janice are growing. Ideally, they need to be over 500 pounds, closer to 600 pounds before they're reintroduced into the wild. Typically, they would be reintroduced to the wild in the winter season, so they would identify where their warm water sources are. I think that Iceland is getting large enough to be reintroduced, should it be safe enough. Janice will stay with us a little bit longer, but you guys should come over and see them, and think about how you can talk to your friends about the impact of our actions on our environment, but also how we can support these amazing creatures. I feel super honored and blessed to be able to have that kind of impact and to be able to work with the team that I have at the Bishop. Does anyone have any questions about that program? It's I will tell you, you are on the front end of this knowledge. State funding has not been announced, and the federal allocations will happen in October. So we hope to have an official press release for what we're doing. Right now, we are building momentum. We're building community around this support. One way or another, the Bishop is committed to serving animals in crisis. So please let me know. Yes, sir.
Hillary, first of all, the new manatee habitat is absolutely phenomenal. And I hope the manatees are enjoying it as much as we are to look at it.
It is a gorgeous space. It's based on Ishinataki Springs, so it looks like an actual habitat. And that's important for both the animals as well as our guests. You need to understand they don't exist in this bubble that is a pool that is someplace else, but they exist in our environment. And I think that was a really intentional decision on the part of the team. But thank you.
Who actually designed that? Who got the idea to go to the warm mineral springs and say, gee, let's do this and copy it and
You know what, that is an excellent question. That was a little bit before my time. I am 3 months into the job, you guys. So I could ask Andy if he knows that question.
I don't know the answer to that, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm only a board member for 3 months as well.
Yeah, so you got the newbies in the room right now. I don't know exactly where that came from, but I do know that we have an amazing group of people that are committed to this. So I do invite you to come over. The other thing I wanted to mention while we were here is that we do have an exciting announcement. As of Friday, we are moving forward with a dinosaur exhibit. Yay! Because dinosaurs are everyone's favorite, right? But it's an outdoor dinosaur exhibit, large-scale animatronic dinosaurs that will be installed on the north side of the building and the exterior space. So as you're coming over the bridge, you're going to see a T-Rex. It is going to drive attendance to downtown Bradenton. It's going to drive attendance to the museum. It's going to drive awareness of who we are, that we are a destination, not just for the Bishop, but as a community as a whole. This is an exhibit that is a little bit different. I mean, they growl. They may fart, I've been told. But it's a way, as we do approach a season where you have a lot of relatives in town, you're looking for something to do, come hang out. It's the holidays and your kids are at home, let's go play with the dinosaurs. It will be a separate ticket from the museum entrance. It'll be a lower price point, so you can come as many times as you want. Of course, if you're a member, you can come as many times as you want as well. But this is a way for us to continue to engage our community as we address the stress of this pandemic. Some of you know, we canceled last year's gala. We have made the decision to cancel this year's as well for safety reasons. It's the best decision for us, but we still need to activate our community. So please think about how you can be involved with the museum, either through dinosaurs, through manatees. Just come and talk to me. I would love to hear about what you do in the community and how I can be of service. So again, it's been a pleasure to be up here, but does anyone have any questions for me? How many dinosaurs, you ask? Yes, 27 dinosaurs, right? And we have 13 that are big enough that they're like taller than the fence. So, what else can I tell you?
Are they static or are they moving?
So there are at least half of them move. There is a little bit of variation on the checklist that I've seen. The two skeletons don't move, but we will have everything from pterosaurs, flying birds, flying dinosaurs, to the T-Rexes. There's also a nest of hatchlings that apparently pops up too. So I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a great opportunity both to activate the collection inside the museum. We have terror birds. Like, let's connect our collection with dinosaurs on the outside of the building. So I think it's a great way to get people interested to come inside as well as people activated to go outside as well. Yes, sir.
Hillary, as I was talking and told you one incident where this club did something for the museum. This club has a long history, and the members and the leaders of this club have a long history in supporting the museum that goes back to when it was chartered. Would there be any opportunity for this club to work with the museum to have some exhibit in the museum somewhere where we are celebrating our 100-year anniversary next year?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd love to talk to you about that. I think that would be fantastic. Yes, sir.
Is the bishop still in a connection with the Smithsonian?
Yes, we are a Smithsonian affiliate, so that means we have access to the resources of the entire Smithsonian network. I recently had a phone call with our representative, and we were talking about space show content for our planetarium, as well as just executive interests that I have, working with other museums, finding out, how is their strategic planning working? So it's everything from collections to research to just practice. So absolutely, it's part of who we are, definitely. Anyone else with any pressing questions? Yes?
Is the planetarium, you gonna do like the light shows again? Pink Floyd laser light show is awesome.
So, I will say that I come from business development. And I think any time that I can get you to the museum to have fun, to engage, to give me a little money, is all good. So, I will say that phrasing it as Pink Floyd laser light shows has not gotten me as much ground as phrasing it differently. But yeah, I think that it's a great space. The planetarium is a theater. It's a vector for information. It is a space for fun and engagement. We can go very high end, but also I think that there's a lot of space in there for us to have community experiences as well. So I am all there for it. Also, I think you can see how we're activating our outdoor space. With the 4th of July, we had a sellout crowd of 400. Front row seats to fireworks, you guys. You should come. But also with the dinosaurs or other opportunities, I was just telling Andy, I'm like, let's do movie night on the side of the building. Like, we have this opportunity, we have this space, both inside the building as outside. So all of it, I'm down for it. So, all right. Well, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you.
Hillary, stay up here. Our tradition, again, is to present our guest speakers with a Bradenton Kiwanis Golden Ruler. We will use this to measure the future success in your new position and hope all just grows and grows.
Thank you so much, sir.
So thank you. And we'll
Thank
take
you.
a picture with Emily.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
All right, again, thank you to our speaker. Thank you to all the guests who showed up today. Remember our service events coming on the 18th and 19th, as well as the satellites on the 11th. Everybody, have a great week, and we will see you here next week where we'll have a spectacular program. Senator Jim Boyd will be here, so let's pack the house and hear what the senator has to say. Thank you all, and we are adjourned.